Hello, this is OC Skywatch. It is the 22nd of November 2015 around 5:40 p.m. and I'm going to make a rather brief video showing ya two low pressure systems being smashed. And of course it's not natural. This is November 21st, 6:30 to 10 Zulu. You can see that there are two systems, one right here and one a little bit to the southwest, or the west-southwest. Let's start with this one right here. Right away, you notice that there's a bunch of aerosols around and dry air. Yeah, it's trying to go and spin up. There are actually quite a few aerosols that aren't showing up in water vapor. Could be photoshopped or could be being sprayed at a lower altitude. And this thing right here, this other low pressure, very interesting activity taking place, especially right here. You can see there's a bit of a clockwise motion. These things here are also acting a bit funny in the plumes. But yeah, right here's a dead giveaway that something's going weird with this thing. Also notice the ridiculous amount of dry air in here. Also, there's aerosols being laying in these plumes. There's not much precipitation, so to say, in here. Only precipitation I see is just right in this zone. Anything further than that, there's nothing. This is November 22nd, 1 to 4:30 Zulu. Low pressure system off the northwest coast is really starting to kick up momentum, but I don't see thunderstorm activity appearing towards the core of this thing. Also, there's heavy aerosols being laid in the front that's trying to develop. I know there was some spray in this zone here that doesn't show up in water vapor. It's very interesting. Is that spray's objective to make the air more stable, prevent convection? I'm sure it is. In the other system, there's a huge amount of dry air towards the core. Looks to be expanding, and the thing's just not looking the greatest right now. Looks to be a few holes here. Let me slow that down for you. Anyways, this doesn't look natural to me. The dry air just keeps being shoved in there. Anyways, that's just very interesting, bizarre motion. There's still a moisture field off the coast of California and Baja. Unfortunately, though, they got a spray to keep this thing in check. They don't want this thing to turn into a decent-sized low-pressure system. Here's a visible view. This system I'm going to show in shortwave, but over here, some very odd activity. And there's clouds disappearing and seems to be more of a clockwise motion. It looks very bizarre. Let's slow this down. Okay, this is shortwave. Let's focus on this system right here, then we'll go up to the one to the northeast. It just looks very odd. It's leaning more towards clockwise. Not a lot of decent counterclockwise activity towards the core. Okay, let's slow this down. Clearly see these clouds disappearing and the clockwise rotation. There's even a little ring flowing out of this. Clockwise here. All around the core of this thing. Doesn't look very nice. Okay, this system off the northwest coast, you can see that there's a bunch of these lines appearing again. Could be to create a more stable air mass and prevent a bunch of thunderstorms from popping up in the center of this thing. That's a very, very bizarre open area on the northeast side of this system. Look at this thing trying to spin up, but unfortunately though, it's not gonna look so great in the next few frames. Okay, let's slow this down. Not good. Okay, this is November 22nd, 7 to 10:30 Zulu, and well, the rotation here in this system near Hawaii is pretty much shot. There's not much of anything left here in water vapor. Yeah, there's actually a low level circulation, but the upper levels aren't looking so nice. Look at the huge pocket of dry air in the center. That's very, very bizarre. And just look at all the aerosols. Also, this low pressure off the northwest coast is not looking so great. Oh, you even see a clockwise rotation up on the north side. That doesn't look normal. Still, there's no storms near the core of this thing. Yeah, the front that's trying to curl up around and form a decent low pressure is just, it's being interrupted in this location. There's also a area of air getting a little bit drier on the south side. It's been interesting. Anyways, though, look at the ridiculous amount of aerosols that are being laid down in this thing. They really don't want it to rain in California. I can guarantee you that. They want to keep the drought going. I keep telling you this time and time again, but I just want to emphasize the point. There's a lot of money to be made by keeping a drought going in California. Down here's not looking so great as well. There's something trying to curl up into a low pressure right here, but it's just being sprayed into, I believe. See some aerosols being laid right off our coast. HAARP Report made a video covering this area. Dry air pocket in Southern California as usual. There were some offshore winds at the time, and the air was very, very dry. Humidity was around 12% and air felt kind of staticky. Okay, this is November 22nd, 19 to 22:30 Zulu. Well, this system near Hawaii is pretty much done for. There's no rotation at all. Stuff's still trying to bubble up, but it's not going to do much because they're laying a bunch of aerosols down, and that's going to prevent any low pressures from forming out in this moisture field. All the dry air doesn't help. As for this system here, it's pretty much falling apart. Aerosols are continuing to be laying down both down here and up here. The rotation here is leaning a bit more towards clockwise on the north side. Still, this thing trying to wrap around is diminishing as it heads toward the core. I think the aerosols are also being sucked in towards the core, which will weaken it further. Man, look at California. Heavy, heavy chemtrails being laid down. There's no rain in here. I can guarantee you that. There are a lot of lines. They're being laid down in such a fashion to cover the greatest amount of area. Slow this down. See, each individual line is a different plane. That's insane. It's going to prevent the snowpack up in the Sierra from getting bigger. Northern California is also a vital area where precipitation is needed. And it's just being shut down here. Okay, this is the same time in visible, and well, there's not much left of this system here off the northwest coast. In fact, the open areas appear to be expanding. One right here, one right here, one right here, one right here. See a bit of a clockwise flow in this location. Clouds disappearing, and it's kind of in a circular fashion. Still though, man, the open area is very, very bizarre. Slow this down. Still though, the aerosols over California are extremely, extremely visible, especially towards the last frame. When the sun angle's lower, the aerosols show up better. Let's stop this. That's crazy. The system near Hawaii seems to be looking very, very weird. There's not a whole lot of rotation in the upper level. Lower level has still a bit, but it's not going to do much. Look how disorganized this thing is, and look at the amount of open area. What's very, very strange about this is there's multiple areas of counterclockwise. You know, over here actually appears to be going more in a clockwise fashion. Very strange stuff. Okay, let's slow this down. I actually see clouds disappearing here. See a bunch of aerosols over here. Okay, this is the relative humidity map. This is November 22nd, 18 Zulu, and there's quite a bit of dry air over the state of California at 5,000 feet. This is 850 millibars. And off the coast of Oregon and Northern California, there seems to be a dry air area. It's like a little tongue extending into here. Also, off of the coast of Southern California and Baja, it's pretty dry as well. Okay, this is 700 millibars, 10,000 feet. Extremely, extremely dry off of Northern California coast and Southern California coast. Inside of the state doesn't look too much better. Look at this strange pocket of dry air off the Southern California coast, though. Probably were pressing a bunch of dry air down there, as they usually do. Okay, 500 millibars, 18,000 feet, and again, off the California coast and in the Bay Area, there seems to be a lot of dry air around. Even at this altitude, the humidity over California is not that high. But here's the kicker. At 300 millibars, 30,000 feet, there's a lot of moisture here. I'm pretty sure they want to keep the air stable so no storms pop up in this region. It's part of the drought. You know, they spray a lot in these moisture plumes.
A lot of moisture goes right above us.
What a difference that 12,000 feet makes. Okay, this is the 300 millibar height analysis. This is 30,000 feet up. Let's play this thing really quickly. This is just gonna show progress of these two systems. Okay, 12 hours later. November 21st, 0 Zulu is when this thing right here starts to form up. Over here's low pressure as well. Low pressure gets a bit deeper over here, and the storm near Hawaii. Still a trough, but man, look at that thing disappear. Right here, the low pressure is being marked at this level. Let's step ahead another 12 hours. Pressure went down a bit. This thing near Hawaii still has this little circular thing, but it's not marked as a low. Kinda interesting. 12 hours later, pressure keeps going down. See? This thing near Hawaii is not marked as a low at all. Still though, you can clearly see that there's a bunch of degeneration in this system because they were spraying into it, and yeah, they want to weaken it so it doesn't bring rain into California much. What a difference 12 hours makes. Okay, this is 500 millibars. Well, let's stop this thing. There we go, that's the first frame, and there's nothing marked over here yet. There's something starting to form off the northwest coast. This thing right here is finally marked as a low, and this thing is marked as a low, so yeah, all seems to be going good, but it's not going to last long. See, there's a bunch of spray. That's just going to be sucked into the core of this thing. They're trying to weaken it, especially at the surface. Okay, finally they marked this thing as a low. And now, step ahead 12 hours. This low near Hawaii continues to deepen, and over here it gets stronger. Okay, 12 hours later this thing continues to get stronger, but this thing right here near Hawaii, pressure seems to be rising. This is the sea surface pressure analysis. Each frame is 6 hours later. You can see low hasn't formed at the surface yet near Hawaii. Yet right here off the northwest coast there's a thing marked as a low pressure.
12
Okay,
hours later.
something starts showing up here. Pressure gets a little bit higher at the surface. This thing's marked as a low. November 21st, 6 Zulu. Pressure continues rising at the surface off the northwest coast. 1 point difference 6 hours makes. This one gets a little bit lower. This one gets higher. There's actually an interesting high pressure off the Southern California coast that shows up. I just noticed that now. Okay. November 21st, 18 Zulu. The low near Hawaii gets a bit stronger. Wow, pressure went down a bit here. Still near Hawaii, pressure continues to get a bit lower. November 22nd, 6 Zulu. Pressure got actually a little bit lower here, but this thing looks very, very disorganized though. There's actually two things showing up. Low pressure at the surface near Hawaii stays the same. And another 6 hours. This thing's no longer marked off the northwest coast, and pressure stays the same near Hawaii. Okay, I think that's it for that map. Okay, let's go into the storm surf map. See, right now this is November 22nd, 12 Zulu. This thing doesn't even have its own little circular thing. Okay, let's play this. See, they're just gonna jam this thing off and bringing in another notch. See how unnatural the jet stream looks? It's very, very distorted. There isn't much rain forecasted for this area at the moment. Only like a 20% chance of showers. That ain't much. Okay, plus 114 hours. There seems to be another low pressure forming off the coast of California. We're gonna have to watch and see in the future what it does. There's actually something marked here. But regardless, I'm not expecting much. And besides, they can change their planet a moment's notice. So these maps are just an approximation of where things are going to be. Still though, don't you notice that over here looks natural, but as you head a bit more towards the east, stuff just doesn't look right. Jet stream's supposed to be going from the west to the east, not to trail up into Alaska and come down. Heavy jet stream over Southern California. Might be a little bit of precipitation, but I wouldn't count on it. There's an area opening up, and don't know what that's going to do. That's so out in the future, though. So we can't be 100% certain what they're going to do.
Alright, this is the Doppler radar that I forgot to include in the main segment of this video. And as you can see, there's absolutely no rain in California. None. Zero. I'm telling you, we're being sucked dry. See, in other states there's rain, but not here. And it's not good. Okay, let's check the forecast. Okay, tonight low of 53, Monday high of 79, low 52, Tuesday 69 degrees, low 50, partly cloudy. Okay, there's not any say of rain here much, 10%. Okay, Wednesday 62 degrees, low of 43, and then on Saturday there's a chance of showers, 60%, but you know, what happens a lot is as the date gets closer where we're expecting rain, the percentage gets lower and lower, and then you're pretty much at 10 or 20% the next day. I've seen that happen over and over again, and eventually no rain comes. Okay, let's check the local news site to see what kind of things they're showing for the weather. Okay, Monday, AM clouds, warm day, probably aerosol clouds, high of 79, low of 55. Tuesday, temperatures fall, 68 degrees, low of 54. Wednesday, 10% chance of rain, cold, 62 degrees, low of 51. Thursday, 10% chance of rain, cold, and 64 degrees, low of 45. Friday, high of 66, low of 44. Saturday, 20% chance of showers. Yeah, that's more like it. Trust that more than weather.com. Still, man, I'm pretty sure what they're focusing on is mainly bringing the cool down here. That's how it's been for a little while here. You get these cool down events and then the temperature goes way up. Oh, yesterday was in the low 90s Fahrenheit. Wasn't too pleasant. Not to mention it was dry. 12% humidity most of the time. Okay, it's around 10:30 p.m. and I'm sad to report that most of the convection in this low pressure system heading into the state has pretty much vanished. And, well, pretty much the whole state now is being hammered by a bunch of aerosols. Look at that. This is November 23rd, 2:30 to 6 Zulu. It's not good at all. Seems like they're allowing the jet stream to flow now, and that's just going to push everything to the east so they can carry out their next operations. Okay, let's slow this down really quick. That's insane. I haven't seen it that bad in a while. Anyways, any hope of rain coming out of this thing has pretty much been kicked out. Over towards the west a bit, this system here is looking even more terrible. Mother Nature's very, very determined to create a low pressure out of this mass of moisture, and they cannot allow it. So what they are doing is they're pressing a bunch of dry air down and spraying a lot of aerosols. Very typical of them. Look at this huge mass of garbage. See a little convection here, but it's being shut down right at this point where my mouse is. Let's show a long wave. This is the same time, and you can see the thing, the last of this low pressure rainfall potential diminish. Looks a little bit circular here. Very interesting. There's also a line right here appearing out of nowhere. Still, man, look at the crazy amount of aerosols over the state. From what I see, this looks like a terrorist attack of some sort. I don't know, man. I mean, when you're shutting down the rainfall and snowfall, that's an act of warfare, genocide, terrorism. And no, terrorists are not just foreign. Very interesting activity up in Northern California. Okay, let's slow this down. Just look at these lines appear out of nowhere. That's insane. Over here, again, a lot of aerosols. Stuff's trying to develop, but unfortunately, though, it's not able to rise high enough to do anything. It's being capped. This thing could have been a huge, huge low pressure system. But instead, it's just a giant mess. Okay, I think that's it. Again, I want to encourage people to go make their own videos of weather warfare being waged against their area. The more we have doing that, the better off we are. Okay, thank you for watching.